Millionaire hires a fake wife to trick his dying grandfather. But her one rule changes everything. Before we start, leave a comment telling us which city or country you're watching from. And at the end, don't forget to rate this story from 0 to 10. Enjoy the story. Let's go back to the main character. It was supposed to be a celebration. A grand ballroom lit by golden chandeliers. A 70-piece orchestra. Waiters in black and white gliding through the room like chess pieces. And at the very center of it all, Liam West, billionaire CEO of Westtech International, heir to one of the most powerful legacies in New York. But his jaw was clenched. Not because of the cameras flashing in his face. Not because of the board members lining up fake smiles. It was because of the man sitting in a velvet wheelchair just a few feet away. His grandfather, Ambrose West, war hero, empire builder, dying of heart failure. And tonight? Tonight was the night he'd made it clear. "I want to meet your wife, Liam. Before I go." Liam had smiled, lied through his teeth. "Of course, Grandpa. She'll be right there beside me." Except there was no wife. Not even a girlfriend. Just a dating history more scandalous than a TMZ playlist and a closet full of cufflinks worth more than emotional stability. So, he did what any responsible, emotionally stunted billionaire would do. He hired one. Eliza Daniels didn't look like a fake wife. She looked like someone who alphabetized books for fun and drank tea out of cracked mugs. Which, coincidentally, she did. She was standing behind the register at Bramble Books when a sharply dressed assistant named Harper marched in like a hurricane and slammed a folder on the counter. "You're Eliza Daniels, yes? Last time I checked. You're needed, urgently." Eliza blinked. "For a very special project, temporary, 3 weeks, well compensated. Includes a wardrobe budget, a hairstylist, and the occasional awkward smile." Eliza narrowed her eyes. "Is this a prank?" "Number. Am I being recruited into a cult?" "Number. But there is a grandfather involved." That's when Eliza heard the number, and she said yes. But on one condition: the limo ride to the West estate felt like time travel. Eliza's thrift store jeans had been replaced by a navy silk dress that fit like a second skin. Her curls were tamed into soft waves, makeup natural but flawless. But the moment she stepped into the marbled foyer of the West Mansion, she knew this was not her world. Portraits stared down at her from 15-foot walls. A fireplace crackled despite it being 80 degrees outside. And Liam West, in a tailored tuxedo, stood like a statue with perfect cheekbones. He barely glanced at her. "We're late. Grandpa expects us in 5. "Nice to meet you, too. Just follow my lead. Smile when necessary. And don't say anything ridiculous." Tempting. "But remember my rule?" He paused. The first crack in his icy exterior. "Right. Your one condition. No lying to the grandfather about feelings. Pretend love is fine. But mockery? I'm out." He said nothing, just nodded. The ballroom hushed the moment they entered. Gasps. Whispers. Someone muttered, "She's different." Eliza smiled. She had a talent for hearing insults wrapped in compliments. Ambrose West's eyes lit up the second he saw her. "Is this her?" he asked. Voice brittle but warm. "Yes, Grandpa," Liam replied. "This is Eliza, my wife." Eliza stepped forward. "It's an honor to meet you, sir." He took her hand with trembling fingers. His eyes searched hers. "You're not afraid of me?" "Only a little. But mostly, I'm afraid of this dress ripping." A soft chuckle echoed from the old man's chest. Liam watched, silently, and for the first time that evening, his jaw relaxed. An hour passed. Eliza had charmed 3 cousins, made 2 board members laugh, and somehow managed to remember Ambrose's favorite kind of tea. "Chamomile with a drop of lemon juice," she said, pouring it gently. "No one's gotten that right in years," Ambrose whispered. Liam stood beside her, hands in his pockets, observing. "You're really good at this," he murmured. "What, pretending to be your doting wife?" "Number. Making my grandfather smile." She looked up. "You should try it sometime." "Oh." His reply was interrupted by flashbulbs. Someone had leaked it. A photo of Eliza entering the estate, side by side with Harper. Caption: "Mystery woman enters West Mansion. Wo ist Liam's nev bride?" Dozens of reporters outside. More inside, disguised as guests. One shoved a mic in Liam's face mid-toast. "Mr. West, when did you two marry? There's no license on file." Silence. Cameras clicking like gunfire. Ambrose's eyes narrowed. Married? He repeated, gaze darting between them. Liam opened his mouth, but Eliza spoke first. That's our cue to exit. She tugged his sleeve, turned gracefully, and smiled through the storm. In the hallway outside the ballroom, Liam faced her. Why did you do that? You were about to lie to his face. That was the agreement. The agreement was that I wouldn't let this become cruel. He exhaled sharply. You're a fake wife. You don't get to make the rules. She stepped closer. Then fire me, but if you want me to keep playing this role, respect the one rule I gave you. A beat of silence. Then footsteps. Ambrose was standing there, leaning on his cane, watching. Is there something I should know? He asked. Liam froze. And Eliza? She looked him straight in the eyes and said, yes. Liam's spine stiffened. Ambrose West didn't repeat himself. He never had to. One sentence from him carried the weight of legacy, battlefield, and boardroom. Is there something I should know? Eliza didn't blink. Yes, she said again calmly, firmly, like she wasn't standing in a $30,000 dress next to a man who could fire her with a gesture. Ambrose raised an eyebrow. Then I suggest you say it. Liam's voice cut in, low and measured. We were going to tell you later, in private. Ambrose tilted his head, eyes narrowing. So there is something. The silence tightened around them like a noose. Eliza exhaled softly. Then, we rushed into things. The wedding wasn't conventional, but what we feel isn't fake. Liam turned sharply. That wasn't the script. But Ambrose smiled. Good. Conventional weddings are boring. But feelings? Yes? Eliza asked, careful. They matter, even more than blood. He turned and walked away, slow but certain. Eliza didn't speak until the hallway was quiet again. You're welcome. For what? Liam asked. Saving your lie without violating mine. He didn't answer. But he didn't deny it, either. The next morning, Eliza woke in the guest wing to the sound of silence. Not even birds. Just walls thick enough to muffle helicopters. A handwritten note waited on the nightstand. Stylist appointment at 9. Grandpa's breakfast at 10. Don't be late. L.W. She stared at the initials, rolled her eyes. Someone skipped charm school. Downstairs, Ambrose was already seated at a sunlit table covered in more silverware than she'd seen in her entire apartment. Sit, he said. Tell me something not boring. She blinked. Like what? Anything, just no small talk. Eliza thought for a second. I once mistook a ferret for a kitten and tried to pet it. It bit me. Ambrose laughed. Laughed. Loudly. Liam entered just in time to see his grandfather slap the table with delight. She's more interesting than all my grandsons combined. Liam nodded stiffly, poured himself coffee, black. Eliza smiled behind her teacup. Later that afternoon, the Westtech board convened in the East Wing. Glass walls, sharp suits, colder hearts. Eliza watched from a balcony, sipping mineral water and trying not to look completely out of place. She overheard a voice behind her. Enjoying the fantasy? Meredith Stroud, Liam's ex, and unfortunately, CFO of Westtech. She wore black like it was a warning. Excuse me? Eliza asked. You're not the first girl Liam parades around to impress Ambrose, but you might be the first with thrift store roots. Eliza didn't flinch. You Googled me? Please, I pay people to do that. Did they find my unpaid parking tickets, or the time I dropped out of med school to care for my brother? Meredith blinked. Tuche. Eliza smiled sweetly. You should pay them more. That evening, as Liam loosened his tie in the study, he found Eliza curled up on the window seat with a book from Ambrose's shelf. You know that thing you said? About not mocking feelings? Yeah? You meant it. Obviously. A pause. You're not what I expected, he admitted. Neither are you. I expected a cold billionaire with a superiority complex. And? Still undecided. He smirked. You keep surprising me. Good. Keeps you from getting bored. Oh. They didn't realize how close they were until Ambrose's voice drifted in. Don't mind me, just admiring how well you two pretend. He didn't sound convinced. 3 days later, everything changed. Ambrose collapsed in the garden. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. Just a quiet slump in his wheelchair, teacup dropping, breath gone. Liam ran faster than anyone thought he could. Eliza followed, knees hitting the grass as she held the old man's hand. He blinked up at them both, faint but smiling. You make a good couple. Then he closed his eyes. The paramedics came. Lights, stretchers, silence. At the hospital, Liam paced. Eliza sat motionless, hands clenched. Hours passed. A doctor appeared. He's stable, but he's asking for you two. Ambrose's hospital room was quiet. He looked smaller, paler, but his voice was steady. Liam, I'm updating my will. I want Eliza to be protected too. Liam stiffened. That's not necessary. It is to me. If you love her, she becomes family. Family matters. Eliza opened her mouth, but Liam spoke first. We're not married, Grandpa. The room went still. Ambrose didn't blink. I know. Elisa gasped. You? Knew? I built an empire, Eliza. I've read more people than you've read books. But you? You cared. You made me laugh. That wasn't fake. Liam sat down slowly. Why didn't you say anything? Because I wanted to see if you'd tell the truth before I was gone. Another pause. And now that you have, I want one thing. Anything, Liam said. Ambrose looked at Eliza. Stay with him, even after I'm gone. He needs someone who keeps him human. Eliza's throat tightened. Liam's voice was barely a whisper. I don't deserve that. Ambrose smiled. You will, if you're smart enough not to let her go. Silence clung to the hospital room. Eliza felt it settle between them, like fog soft, but suffocating. Ambrose had said his piece, and now he was resting again. But Liam was still staring at the wall like it had answers. Eliza stood. Quietly. She wasn't sure what to say, but she knew what she wouldn't say. I told you so. Instead, she walked out. Back at the mansion, everything felt louder. The ticking of the hallway clock, the echo of her heels on the marble, the quiet sighs of the staff, who didn't quite know what her role was anymore. She passed the room where she'd first tried on the gown, where the stylist had called her raw material, where she'd looked in the mirror and thought, maybe I can do this. But tonight, that mirror might crack if she looked too closely. She went to the guest room, started packing. One dress, one notebook, one worn-out copy of To Kill a Mockingbird. The door creaked open behind her. Leaving already? Liam's voice was quieter than usual. The contract is almost up, she said, not turning around. Grandpa asked you to stay. He also asked you to be honest. Took you long enough. He didn't argue. Didn't move. Just said, what if I asked you to stay? Eliza paused. Turned. Why would you do that? Because I don't want to fake anything anymore. The next morning, the tabloids exploded. Tuham West's mystery bride. Who is Eliza Daniels really? Fake marriage or secret heiress? Pictures of Eliza at the gala, at the hospital. Zoomed in, cropped, twisted. And then came the real blow. An anonymous source leaked that Eliza had never been legally married to Liam. Westek stock dipped. Donors questioned leadership. Board members panicked. Meredith Stroud wasted no time. You're becoming a liability, she told Liam in the boardroom. Clean this up, or step down. Liam didn't flinch. I'll clean it up, but not the way you want. That night, Liam held a press conference, flanked by cameras, microphones, and more tension than Wall Street during a crash. He stepped up to the podium, took a breath, and did what Ambrose had waited weeks for him to do. He told the truth. Eliza Daniels and I entered into an agreement. At first it was business, but what grew between us wasn't part of the plan. I lied to protect a legacy, but Eliza, she protected a man, my grandfather. She showed him kindness, dignity, and joy, none of it faked. And for that, I owe her everything. There was a pause. I understand the backlash. I'll take the consequences. But I won't apologize for caring about someone who changed me. And if you don't want a CEO capable of change, then I'll resign. Flashbulbs, gasps, chows. But Liam walked off stage shoulders straight. Eliza hadn't watched it live. She'd been at the old bookstore downtown, restocking shelves as a favor to her former manager. But her phone buzzed, over and over, until the manager popped his head in. You might want to look at this. The entire staff was gathered around the television, watching Liam, watching her name on the chyron, her photo beside his. She stared, eyes wide. What? What did he do? He did the one thing billionaires never do, the manager whispered. He told the truth. In public. Later that night, she found a car waiting outside her apartment. Same driver from before. No words. Just a note on the seat beside her. If you come, no contracts. Just us. LW. She stared at it, then got in. The mansion looked the same. But the atmosphere had shifted. Liam was waiting on the balcony, sleeves rolled up, hair wind-tousled, no suit in sight. "Hi," he said. "Hi," she echoed. Neither moved. Then Eliza held up the note. "You really meant this? Every word. No prenup, no conditions, just dinner, and maybe a future." Eliza stepped closer. "That depends. Are you still the guy who hired me like I was ordering takeout?" "Number. Then maybe I'll stay for dessert." "Oh," they laughed. It was the first time in days the sound didn't feel borrowed. Inside, the dining room was dimly lit. Not for drama, but warmth. Candles, no cameras, no staff, just him and her. He poured her a glass of wine. "To pretending." She raised an eyebrow. "I thought we were done pretending?" He smiled. "To pretending it didn't scare me. When you walked away." She clinked his glass. "To pretending I wasn't falling for you. The whole time." He froze, just for a second. Then whispered, "So you were?" "I still am." He reached across the table, took her hand. "Then don't walk away again. Only if you stop giving orders. Deal?" From the hallway, a quiet laugh echoed. Ambrose, leaning on his cane, watching from a distance. "Told you she'd keep you human." 3 weeks later, the press had moved on. Another scandal, another billionaire, another heiress with a secret twin. But inside the West Mansion, things were quieter. More real. Eliza didn't have to pretend to be a wife anymore. And Liam? He didn't have to pretend not to care. They spent mornings reading in the garden, afternoons arguing over tea versus coffee, evenings debating which movie genre was superior. Liam said noir, Eliza said rom-com. And nights? Nights were quiet, full of almosts. Almost reaching for her hand, almost saying something deeper, almost kissing her goodnight. But neither pushed, not yet. It was like walking on a glass bridge, too fast, and everything could crack. One morning, Eliza found a small box on her pillow. No note, just a simple silver bracelet. Inside, engraved in tiny letters, "No pretending." She blinked, then smiled. Ambrose was recovering slowly, still sharp, still sarcastic. He called Eliza. "My favorite granddaughter-in-law I never legally had." She brought him crossword puzzles and herbal tea. He brought her quiet wisdom. "Love isn't about noise," he once told her. "It's about who still listens when everything goes quiet." She never forgot that. Then the letter arrived. White envelope, no return address, just her name, handwritten in perfect script. Inside was a photo. Her, standing in front of the West Mansion, head slightly bowed, carrying Liam's coat. And below, typed in bold, "Gold diggers wear polite smiles too." No signature, just a smear of red lipstick at the bottom corner. Eliza stared at it for a long time, then folded it in half, and threw it away. But the next day, another letter. This one with a printed copy of her old student debt. Highlighted, underlined. "Love is expensive, isn't it?" She didn't tell Liam. Not at first. Because a part of her thought, maybe someone was right. She had agreed to play wife for money, even if it changed. Even if she had changed. The third letter was worse. A picture of her younger brother, Noah, walking out of his school, alone, with the caption, "Keep pretending, and he'll find out who you really are too." That night, Eliza didn't sleep. She stayed curled on the window seat, knees to her chest, watching shadows crawl across the floor. Liam found her there at 4 a.m. "What's wrong?" "Nothing," she lied. He didn't push, but his eyes lingered on her too long to believe it. The next morning, Liam received an envelope. Same script. Inside, a photo of him, with Eliza, at the gala, at the hospital, at dinner. And this message, "She's got your heart, we've got her past." That's when he snapped. Eliza was in the library when he barged in. "Who's sending these?" "What?" The letters, the photos, the threats. Her face drained. "You saw them?" "Not all. Just enough to know I should have been told." She stood. "I didn't want to drag you into it. We're past that, Eliza. This is our life now. You don't protect me by hiding things." Her voice cracked. "I was scared, Liam." Silence. He stepped closer. "So am I. Why? Because this isn't fake anymore, and I don't want to lose you. Ambrose called them into the parlor that afternoon. The old man was sitting by the fireplace, flipping through a thick leather journal. "Tell me everything," he said simply. So they did. Every letter, every photo, every threat. When they finished, he leaned back, expression unreadable. "I have one request," he said. "Don't run." Liam frowned. "We're not. Don't run from each other. Whoever's doing this wants fear, shame, distance." He looked at Eliza. "The way you stood up for me, even when you had no reason, that's the kind of love money can't buy." Eliza's eyes welled. That evening, security was doubled. Every camera checked, every staff member vetted. Meredith showed up uninvited. "Looking for someone?" Liam asked coldly. "Just paying my respects. In case your relationship crashes before the fiscal quarter ends." "You sound disappointed." "On the contrary, drama keeps stock prices alive." She handed him a file. "Just in case you were wondering who's leaking your secrets." Then walked out. Inside the file, a name, a former intern at Westek, obsessed with Eliza's story, turned blogger, then stalker, and one final note in Meredith's handwriting: "I still don't like her, but I don't like liars more." Liam exhaled. "I owe her a reluctant thank you." Eliza was in the garden when he found her again. Same dress from the gala. Faded now, but still hers. "The person behind it won't be a problem anymore," he said. She turned, eyes searching his. "Promise?" "On my legacy. That's not worth much." "Then I promise on something real." "What?" He stepped forward. "On us." That night, there was no pretend dinner. No speeches. No stylists. Just the two of them, barefoot in the kitchen, eating pancakes, laughing over burnt syrup. And somewhere between the second and third bite, Liam said it. Quietly. Almost accidentally. "I love you." Eliza froze. Spoon halfway to her mouth. "What?" "I know it's messy. I know it didn't start perfect, but I love you." She didn't blink. Didn't speak. Just got up, walked to him, and whispered back. "Then let's stop pretending. Forever." And for once, neither of them looked away. It should have ended there. The threat was gone. The truth was out. And for once, the mansion felt like a home, not a stage. But peace doesn't linger long when there's legacy on the line. The West Family Trust was scheduled to transfer in 30 days, which meant 30 days until the board finalized who would inherit full control of the Westek empire. Ambrose had 1 vote. The board had 7. And suddenly, everyone remembered Eliza. Whispers started again. She wasn't a wife. She wasn't a shareholder. She didn't belong. At first, Eliza ignored it. But the comments grew louder. "Sweet girl, but no business background. She'll embarrass him at international conferences. She's reading Jane Austen while the company bleeds in Q3. Even Harper, Liam's assistant, looked uncomfortable. "I'm just saying, maybe lay low until the vote's over?" Eliza nodded politely. But inside, she was tired of being polite. That night, she found Liam in the study. Alone. In the dark. Fireplace flickering. "What are you thinking?" she asked softly. "That I've built a company worth $4 billion. And they still think I need board permission to choose who sits beside me. Because of me. Because of them." She stepped closer. "Then let me fight. This isn't your war. But it affects me. Us. A beat. I want to prove I'm not just a distraction in a dress." Liam looked up. For a second, he saw it. Not the woman he hired, but the one who could lead beside him. The next morning, Eliza made a call. Then another. Then spent 6 straight hours reading quarterly reports, PR scandals, and acquisition histories. Harper walked in to bring her tea and stopped mid-step. "You're studying?" "I'm catching up." "On what?" "Corporate warfare. On why the board thinks I'm just another headline." She didn't eat dinner. Didn't answer Liam's texts. At 2 a.m., he found her asleep on the floor of the library, surrounded by post-it notes and printouts. He didn't wake her, just laid a blanket over her shoulders, and smiled. 3 days later, Ambrose threw a garden brunch. Strictly family and board only, which apparently meant 12 gray-haired suits and Meredith in all white. Eliza arrived late. On purpose, wearing a navy pantsuit that made no apologies. Liam stood when he saw her. So did Ambrose. "Gentlemen," Liam began, "before we finalize the next phase of Westek's leadership, Eliza would like to say a few words." Murmurs. Eliza stepped forward. No cue cards, no teleprompter, just her voice. I know I don't belong on paper, not in your spreadsheets, not in your portfolios, but I belong where people still believe in value beyond numbers, where legacy isn't just wealth, it's kindness, compassion. Ambrose West built this empire on grit, vision, and a little bit of rebellion. If you're looking for someone who fits the mold, I don't. But if you're looking for someone who will protect what truly matters, I'm already doing that. She looked directly at Meredith. And I'm not going anywhere. Silence. Then Ambrose clapped. Slow, deliberate, proud. Liam joined in. Then, to everyone's shock, so did 2 board members. Meredith didn't clap, but she didn't interrupt either. Later, as everyone was leaving, she passed Eliza near the hedges. Nice speech, she said. Didn't think you'd go full Aaron Brockovich. Didn't think you'd let me. Meredith paused, then smirked. Don't screw it up. That night, Liam found Eliza on the balcony. Same spot where it all began. He wrapped an arm around her waist. You destroyed them today. I didn't want to destroy anyone. You made them listen. That's rarer. She turned. Is this real now, like completely? As real as your post-its. They laughed. Then he pulled something from his pocket. A box. Small, velvet, heavy. I wasn't planning to do this yet, but I'm done with plans. Her heart stopped. He opened it. Inside, a ring. Simply, elegant. Hers. Not contracts, not performance, not pretending. Will you marry me this time, for real? She didn't cry. Not at first, but when she nodded twice, 3 times he slipped it on, and whispered, Welcome to the family. Downstairs, Ambrose raised his glass alone. About damn time, he muttered. Rain fell on the morning of the engagement announcement. Soft, steady, and oddly calming, like the universe knew they needed quiet before the storm. Eliza stood by the window of the West Mansion's west wing, a poetic accident, watching raindrops race down the glass. She wasn't nervous. She was terrified. Not of Liam, but of what came next. The announcement dinner would be held at the West Tech rooftop overlooking the city skyline, with more journalists than family members. It wasn't just about love anymore. It was about perception, position, power. And Eliza Daniels, former bookstore clerk and part-time caregiver, was about to step into a world where one wrong sentence could make headlines or end legacies. Harper appeared at the door mid-makeup session. You've got 20 minutes. Do you want a speech? Do I want a speech? Number? Do I need one? Probably. Harper handed her a slim folder. Meredith's team drafted something neutral, polished, safe. Eliza opened it, skimmed, closed it. Yeah, no, I thought you'd say that. Downstairs, Liam was fixing his cufflinks when Ambrose walked in. Slower these days, but still sharp-eyed. You're fidgeting. They're just cufflinks. No, you're fidgeting. Liam looked up. She's ready, more than me maybe, but the world. The world doesn't get a vote, boy. You do. Pose. And if you're smart, you'll keep choosing her, even when it's inconvenient. Liam nodded. Every day. Ambrose smiled. Good. That's how dynasties survive. Not by power, but by the people we choose to stand beside. The rooftop sparkled with gold lights and floating candles. Press badges flashed. Phones hovered. Someone whispered, There she is. As Eliza stepped onto the platform beside Liam, he reached for her hand. She squeezed once, then faced the crowd. We didn't meet at a gala, or through family friends. We met because someone needed comfort, and someone else needed cover. It wasn't romantic, not at first, but over time, pretending turned into protecting, and protection turned into partnership. Flashes went off. I don't have the pedigree you expect, but I have the heart, the grit, and the spine to walk through fire for the man beside me. And if that makes me unqualified for this title, then maybe it's time we redefined what qualifies a woman to be loved. Gasps, then applause, and then standing ovation. Even Meredith clapped once. Harper looked like she was going to faint. Liam? He just whispered, You stole my thunder. Oh, you'll live. That night, Eliza couldn't sleep. Too much adrenaline. Too many memories. She walked barefoot to the kitchen, made tea, and found Ambrose already there reading by dim lamplight. Can't sleep either? She asked. Old men don't sleep. We haunt our own legacies. She smiled. Did I embarrass the family? You saved it. She sat across from him. Do you regret it? Letting me in? He looked at her for a long time, then shook his head. Not for a second. No. Even when I was a waitress pretending to be a wife? Especially then. The next morning, the news broke. West Air's engagement goes viral. Eliza Daniels steals hearts and headlines. Clips of her speech trended across platforms. The comment section? Mixed, but more kind than cruel. Liam was reading through them when Harper rushed in. You need to see this. Is it stock prices? Worse. She turned the screen toward him. A blog post. Anonymous. With one line bolded at the top. Eliza Daniels isn't just an outsider. She's still legally married to someone else. Liam blinked. That's not possible. Is it? He didn't answer. Instead, he picked up the phone. Eliza was in the greenhouse, trimming herbs. Liam found her there, holding a pair of shears and humming softly. Eliza, what's wrong? He handed her the tablet. She read, paused, then exhaled. I should have told you. It's true? Technically, it was annulled, but the paperwork was never processed. He moved overseas. I never finished it. Why? Because I didn't think anyone would care. I didn't think you would care. He stepped back. Not angry, just distant. I don't care about your past, but I care when you hide it. She looked down. I was ashamed. It was stupid. He was a mistake, a rebound, and I never loved him. A beat, but I love you. Liam didn't speak, just turned and left. The next 42 hours felt like déjà vu. Rumors, reports, digging. Some exaggerated, some accurate. Ambrose called it a test of character. Eliza called it a PR nightmare. And Liam? He went silent. On the third day, she packed a small bag. Again. One coat, one wallet, one quiet heart. She left a note. Not dramatic, just honest. If you want to build a future with someone who has no shadows, she isn't me. But if you want someone who tells the truth, even when it hurts, I'll be at the bookstore where we never met, reading the chapter we never got to write. She left. Not running, just waiting. The bookstore smelled like paper and rain. Eliza stood between the shelves she used to alphabetize in her sleep, running her fingers along spines like old friends. She wasn't hiding. She wasn't sulking. She was waiting. The little bell above the door chimed. Eliza didn't look up. Not at first. Then she heard footsteps slow, certain, familiar. She turned, and there he was. Liam. No suit, no tie, just him. Hair damp, eyes tired, heart wide open. You always run to books, he said softly. They don't judge. I never judged you. Number. But you left. Because I didn't know how to stay when I felt betrayed. And I didn't know how to tell you without losing everything. They stood there, inches apart, months of pretending behind them. Liam reached into his pocket, pulled out a crumpled note. The one she left. You said if I wanted someone without shadows, she wasn't you. Still true. Good. He looked up. Because shadows prove we've stood in the light. They didn't kiss. Not yet. Instead, Liam walked to the poetry section, picked up a worn copy of Pablo Neruda's Love Sonnets, opened it, showed her the inside cover. She blinked. It was signed, to E.D. May you never settle for silence. L.W. You bought this? She whispered. 3 weeks after we met, before I even knew I was falling. Why? Because I already knew I didn't want to stop. Back at the mansion, Ambrose was watching the news. Another segment about their engagement. Another theory. Another photo. He clicked it off. When Liam and Eliza walked through the front door, mud on her boots, wind in his hair, Ambrose just raised an eyebrow. So, are we eloping or what? That night, they sat in the study, floor scattered with wedding magazines and scribbled notes. Eliza leaned against the bookshelf. What if we did it differently? Define differently. No 5-star venue, no 300-person guest list. Just real. Liam smiled. You mean terrifyingly intimate. I mean perfectly us. A pause. But we still invite your grandfather. Obviously, he'd haunt us otherwise. They laughed. And this time, there was no almost. This time, they kissed like no one was watching, even though the chandelier above them swayed with history. 2 weeks later, in a garden behind the mansion, beneath a single arch of ivy, Eliza wore a cream dress with no designer label. Liam wore rolled sleeves and a crooked smile. Ambrose officiated. Harper cried. Meredith pretended not to. And when they said, "I do," it didn't sound like a promise. It sounded like peace. But the peace didn't last long. Not in the West world. Not when legacy whispers louder than vows. A letter arrived the morning after the wedding. No return address. Just 3 words. He had secrets. Inside, a photo of Ambrose, younger, standing beside a woman no one recognized. On the back, ask him about her, before someone else does. Eliza found Liam in the library, still in pajama pants and a half-buttoned shirt. "Do you know this woman?" she asked, handing over the photo. He stared, then blinked. "Number. But someone thinks we should." Then we ask. They found Ambrose in the greenhouse, sipping tea and watching orchids bloom. Liam dropped the photo on the table. Silence. Ambrose didn't flinch. "Her name was Sylvia. Why haven't we heard of her?" Eliza asked gently. "Because she didn't want to be heard." A pause. "She was my sister. Half. The world didn't know. My father had 2 families, one public, one hidden." Liam sat. Stunned. "She's still alive?" "Number. But she had a son." He looked up. "Which means, you have a cousin." "Oh, Ambrose nodded. "And he's coming. Soon." Eliza leaned forward. "Why now?" "Because I invited him." "Why?" "Because legacies deserve truth, even if they arrive late." Later that day, Liam stood alone in the hall. Processing. Processing a family tree with a hidden branch. A cousin with unknown intentions. A dynasty with a dent. Eliza joined him. "You okay?" "I'm learning that love isn't the only thing built on pretending. We'll face it. Together? Always." As the rain returned, gentle against the stained glass windows, Eliza whispered, "Looks like the next chapter just started." Liam looked at her. "Good, because I don't want this story to ever end." 3 days later, he arrived. No dramatic entrance, no entourage, just a cab pulling into the gravel driveway of the West Estate. Eliza watched from the second-floor window as a tall, dark-haired man stepped out. Suit jacket in one hand, a duffel bag in the other. He didn't look like trouble. He looked like family no one expected. Liam met him at the door. "Daniel," he said. "Liam." A handshake. Firm. Civil. Calculated. Like 2 CEOs sizing each other up. Eliza joined them moments later. "Hi, I'm Eliza." Daniel smiled. Not warm, not cold. The infamous fake-turned-real wife. "Depends on who you ask. I prefer the truth." She raised an eyebrow. "Then we'll get along just fine." Ambrose insisted they have dinner together that night. Just family. Roast lamb. Red wine. Real silver. Daniel ate like someone who had grown up with less but learned quickly how to mask it. "So what do you do?" Eliza asked. "Finance. Private equity. Mostly in Singapore and Dubai." "Impressive." "Not really. Just survival with better tailoring." Ambrose chuckled. "He's got my father's eyes, and his appetite for secrets." Daniel didn't flinch. Secrets only have power when no one speaks them. Later, Liam stood by the fire while Eliza cleared plates. "He's smart," Liam said. "Too smart? We'll see. You don't trust him." "I don't trust sudden relatives with polished smiles and offshore accounts." "You sound like Ambrose. That's what scares me." The next morning, Daniel asked for a tour. Not of the gardens or art collection. Of Westtech headquarters. "I want to understand the company," he said. "You mean the empire? Call it what it is." Liam hesitated, but said yes. Eliza tagged along. Daniel asked the right questions. Took notes. Listened more than he spoke. But Eliza noticed the way his eyes lingered in the boardroom. Like he'd been there before. In a dream he planned to turn real. That evening, Eliza found Ambrose in the sunroom. Dozing, but not asleep. "You invited him here. Why?" she asked. "Because he deserves a chance. Even if it makes us uncomfortable." "You think he wants a place in the company?" "Number." A pause. "I think he wants to decide if he needs one." 2 days later, Liam received an anonymous email. Encrypted. No subject line. Just one sentence. "You're not the only West with something to hide." Attached. Financial records. Daniel's first partial. Redacted. But enough to raise eyebrows. "Offshore transfers. Blind trusts. Shell acquisitions," Liam muttered. Eliza stood behind him, reading over his shoulder. He's hiding something. But what? And why send this to you? Because someone wants me to see him as a threat. Or, he is one. Liam confronted him in the library that night. No cameras, no staff, just firelight and silence. Someone sent me your records. Daniel didn't blink. Which version? The one with 3 shell companies and no paper trail. Then they've only scratched the surface. Liam stepped closer. You're not denying it. No point. So tell me, what are you really here for? Daniel sipped his scotch. I wanted to know what I missed. The family dinners, the board meetings, the legacy. But mostly I wanted to see if you deserved it. And? Still deciding. Eliza found Daniel in the garden the next morning. Reading. Sama bench Ambrose always used. Do you want to take West Tech from him? She asked. Number. Then why dig? Because truth isn't theft, and legacies shouldn't rest on lies. She sat. What lie are you looking for? The one that made my mother live in the shadows while his family thrived in gold. So you're here for revenge. Number. A pause. I'm here for balance. Later that day, Eliza stood beside Liam at the boardroom window. Storm clouds gathering over the city. He's not here to destroy you, she said. He's here to weigh us. Then show him we're not hollow. Liam looked at her. That speech you gave the day we announced our engagement. Do you remember it? Word for word. Good. Because I need you beside me again. Not as a wife, not as a headline, but as a partner. She smiled. Took you long enough. The next morning, Daniel received a package on his door. Inside, an envelope and a key. The note read, No secrets, no shadows. Meet us at the place where legacies are born. That night, Daniel stepped into the West Tech Grand Auditorium. The lights dimmed. On stage, Liam and Eliza. Behind them, Ambrose, seated in a single chair. A spotlight. And silence. Liam spoke first. You came here looking for the truth. Elisa continued. So did we. Liam held up a file. This is your mother's name, her records, her photos, her history hidden, yes, but not erased. He handed it to Daniel. It's yours, all of it. Whatever you choose to do next, we'll face it with you. Daniel opened the file. Read. Silent. Then closed it. Thank you. Ambrose coughed. Cleared his throat. There's one seat left at the table. It's yours if you want it. Daniel looked around. 3 generations. 1 stage. I'm not here to take anything. Then take your name, Eliza whispered, and build something new. As applause echoed from a few staff watching in the shadows, Liam leaned toward Eliza. Do you think we just saved the company? Number. Then what? I think we saved the family. The morning after the auditorium event dawned quiet. No headlines, no stage lights, just rain-soft wind brushing the West Mansion gardens. Eliza stepped onto the terrace with 2 coffees in hand. Liam joined her, pouring milk into his cup. I thought storms were supposed to come with thunder, she said. Some storms are internal, he replied. He took a sip. Yesterday didn't just save him. It saved us if we let it. The board meeting came up fast. Not a celebratory mood. Skeptics, analysts, executioners in tailored suits. Eliza walked in beside Liam. They moved like a unit. Not wife and husband. Partners. He opened with numbers. Then paused. Gestured. And on the personal side, my cousin Daniel has stepped forward. He's part of the family, and the legacy too. Whispers. Glances between board members. Eliza added, We've shared everything with him, he has full access. By June, he'll sit as a voting member of the board. More gasps. Meredith clear-eyed. Lips pressed. Finally, the oldest board member spoke. This is unprecedented. Ambrose stood behind them, leaning cane first into the room. So was having an heir with no pedigree. I trust them both. Silence. All those in favor? He asked. 7 raised hands. Ambrose stood alone. Liam glanced at Eliza. She squeezed his hand. After the meeting, Eliza excused herself and walked down the corridor. Meredith caught her. You know, today could have gone very differently. Eliza looked steady. Could have, should have, maybe even must have. Meredith blinked. I misjudged you. That's mutual. Meredith nodded. Balance. It's what he needed. Elisa swallowed. And what we've given? Meredith paused. Don't screw it up. Eliza whispered. I won't. That afternoon, Daniel knocked on Eliza's door. Inside, Post-it notes, coffee stains, shadows of ideas that hadn't yet taken form. "Hope I'm not interrupting," he said. She smiled. "Never." He sat at the desk. "Thank you for opening the files, for not letting the past stay buried. Family is a messy place, but it's honest here." Daniel nodded. "I think we should build something. Not for the sake of Westtech, but for her name." Eliza's breath caught. It continued. "A scholarship fund, in Sylvia's name, for women who chose responsibility over glamour, sacrifice over security." She looked at Liam. He nodded, then looked back at Daniel. "I want in." Daniel reached across the desk and shook her hand gently. That evening, Eliza and Liam strolled through the garden. Fountains gurgled. Lanterns glowed. The mansion stood silent behind them. "You never asked for this," Liam said. "Asked for what?" "All of it. Public weddings, board votes, scholarship funds." She stopped. "I asked not to pretend." "That's true. And you asked me to fight." "Together," he corrected. "Then I wouldn't change a thing." They walked, near enough to touch, yet respecting every inch of growth. The next day's headlines didn't scream scandal. They whispered possibility. Inside the mansion, Ambrose held a photo album. He flipped through old black-and-white pictures, Sylvia in handwritten captions, sailing boats, childhood laughter no one heard. Liam and Eliza leaned over, Daniel beside them. A moment frozen. He set the book down. "Legacy isn't just what's inherited, it's what we make meaningful." Eliza closed her eyes. "Thank you." He looked at Liam. "He chose you." Liam nodded. That night, they celebrated quietly in the kitchen. Pancakes again. This time with fresh berries and coffee brewed strong. No speeches. Just soft laughter. "We're doing this wrong," Eliza murmured. "How so?" "Wedding magazine recommended white lilies, not pancakes." He smiled. "Then we need new magazines." Liam pulled out something from his jacket pocket. A slim notebook. He opened it. "Remember the folder I drafted? The one you rejected?" Elisa smiled. "Yeah? Here it is now." He handed her a pen. "Rewrite anything you'd like." She paused, then began to scribble. "Better. Real. Story." Outside, the rain returned. Soft. Steady. Quiet. Rain tapped the large windows of the mansion's solarium. Inside, Liam and Eliza leaned over a drafting table scattered with handwritten notes and charts. They were planning something new. Together. The next morning, the city woke slow. Westtech headlines muted, but a new story emerged. Eliza Daniels and Daniel West launched Legacy Initiative in Sylvia West's honor. The article highlighted their scholarship fund, their names linked across philanthropy and tech. But not scandal, not boardroom drama, just possibility. In the boardroom, Monday morning, a hush fell over 7 suits. Liam stood at the head of the table. Eliza at his right. Daniel sat quietly. Ambrose relaxed in the corner with a cup of chamomile tea. Liam cleared his throat. Classless scandal sheets sold stories, but legacy sells change. "Our new initiative starts this quarter. I encourage you to support it." Eliza stepped forward. "It's not just about tech and profits. It's about honoring those who sacrificed in silence." "Oh?" "Who paved ways with integrity, even when no one watched." A few board members nodded. Meredith, behind her glasses, paused, then tapped her pen. Finally, the oldest member cleared his throat. "This is significant for brand, for balance, for our reputation." Ambrose lifted his teacup. "To truth." Liam nodded. Eliza squeezed his hand. After the meeting, Daniel joined them in the hallway. "Thank you for letting us build something together." Liam offered a quick smile. "Didn't just ask for it." Daniel chuckled. "Then I'll deliver." That afternoon, Eliza returned to the bookstore she never closed. She walked through the aisles like time had moved, but she hadn't. Customers smiled, waved. She's part of their town now, not just the Westtech headline. At the counter, the manager whispered, "Coffee after hours? You help save that company." She laughed. "I guess I helped save something bigger." Inside the mansion, Florence the housekeeper set out candles in the salon. Ambrose watched from his favorite armchair. Eliza found him and sat beside. "I brought tulips," she said. "You brought peace." He settled back. "You did well, child." That evening, as dusk softened the sky, Liam and Eliza walked the estate gardens. Hedges trimmed to lines, paths lit by lanterns. He paused. "I meant it when I said, I don't deserve you." You deserve someone who fights with you, not for you. He brushed her hair back. Then fight with me? She nodded. Every day. They stepped inside as rain shifted to drizzle. Inside, Meredith approached them. I was wrong. Eliza looked surprised. That takes character. Meredith swallowed. And I respect it when I see it. She handed Eliza a small stack of papers. I drafted several proposed community partnerships. You might want input. Eliza looked at Liam. He nodded. Partnerships sound perfect. That night, Daniel appeared in the library. He looked unshaven, exhausted, honest. Ambrose asked me to stay. And? Eliza asked. I accepted. I want to help build. Liam stepped forward. You don't have to fit politics. Daniel shrugged. I want to, because I see where honesty leads. Elisa smiled. Then welcome home, cousin. Daniel exhaled. Feels real. The following day, the West Mansion hosted a public presentation. Journalists invited not to dig scandal, but to showcase impact. Eliza stepped on stage. No speeches of obligation, just stories of scholarship recipients. Faces raised from communities that knew nothing of West Tech until now. Liam watched from the front, pride in his eyes. That night, they returned to the kitchen for pancakes, again. This time Liam added whipped cream. Eliza added fresh berries. They laughed. You grow a tradition well, she smiled. Only with the right partner. They kissed softly. Ambrose watched from the doorway. Don't burn the kitchen next time, he teased. They smiled at him. Eliza leaned into Liam. We'll try not to. Later, they gathered in the solarium. Ambrose handed each of them a letter. His will and his personal legacy instructions. He read aloud. My fortune is forward, not backward. My family must choose compassion over convention. Then looked at Daniel. You chose truth. To Liam. You chose love. To Elisa. You chose honor. They smiled. He sipped his tea. The rain returned that night, soft and steady. Eliza whispered. Looks like the next chapter just happened. Liam looked out into the drizzle, then at her. I don't want this story to ever end, he said. Elisa smiled. Then let's keep writing. Snow blanketed the West Mansion grounds the morning of the winter gala. Delicate flakes drifted, eerily quiet. Like a promise, everything could start fresh. Inside, Eliza served hot chocolate in the grand foyer alongside Harper, now a close friend. Liam appeared in a dark tuxedo. You ready? He asked. For tonight? She smiled. I'm more ready than I've ever been. Guests arrived. Flashbulbs popped as Eliza and Liam made their entrance. Not as CEO and wife. As equals. Ambrose greeted them, cane in hand, pride lighting his eyes. Let the gala begin, he said. Later, the applause faded. Dinner lights softened. Liam rose. This family has had secrets, but tonight, he paused. Tonight we share truth. He turned to Eliza. Will you say the rest? She took a breath. To those who've given up more than the world ever knew, we honor you. To sibling whose face we never learned, we celebrate her story. To communities unheard, may this be your turning point. Oh, and to the legacy that built skyscrapers, but nearly forgot compassion, let this be the rebirth. After dinner, as jazz strings whispered in the background, Daniel pulled Liam aside. Did you expect them to accept me? Not at first. Now? Liam looked across the room. Board members chatted. Staff smiled. Board chairs offered nods. Now I expect nothing less. Eliza glanced away. Meredith approached. You didn't just crash a dynasty, you rebuilt it. Eliza raised an eyebrow. With a lot more pancakes than ambition. Meredith nodded, almost begrudging respect in her tone. The winter gala wound down. Guests trickled out. Speech buzzed in corridors. Laughter faded. Eliza found Ambrose in the frosted garden. Do you regret giving us a chance? If I could rewind, he looked at her then at Liam, I'd still invite you without hesitation. She smiled. Inside, Liam and Eliza sat by the fire with mugs of tea. He said it himself, Eliza whispered. That's how dynasties survive. Not power, Liam repeated, but the people we stand beside. They leaned together. Outside, a single snowflake hit the window. The next morning, a local newspaper ran a front-page piece. From fake fiancé to family pillar. Eliza Daniels redefines West identity. Eliza read it over Liam's shoulder. He smirked. I'm going to need one of those pancakes to go. She laughed. That afternoon, Daniel invited both to tour the research wing he'd quietly funded. "This is Sylvia's scholarship fund in action," he said. They entered a bustling lab. Young women in white coats studied solar cells and environmental tech. Eliza's eyes lit up. "She'd have loved this." Daniel nodded. "That's why we built it." That evening, Liam and Eliza returned home. They found the study illuminated. Ambrose was engraving a nameplate. "Preparation," he said. On the desk lay the nameplate, Eliza W. Daniels, Vice Chair. Beside it another, Daniel W. West, Trustee Rep. Ambrose set them next to his own plate. "Official now," he drawled. Eliza choked back tears. The following week, West Tech went public with the scholarship program. Media coverage was glowing. Partnerships formed, and board members who once whispered turned into allies. That night, Liam and Eliza returned again to their pancake ritual. Only this time, they brought plates to the solarium. Candles flickered, lanterns glowed, snow piled outside. "I love you," Liam murmured. "I know. Why didn't you say it first?" "Because I didn't think you'd ever admit you needed me." Liam took her hand. "I need you. Every part of you." She leaned into him. "Then let's keep building." Later, Ambrose leaned into his seat, journal open. "You ever wonder if you're too old to change?" Eliza knelt beside him. "You changed us all." He tapped her on the hand. "Then I lived." As the snow whispered outside, Eliza wrote in her journal, "We aren't perfect, but we are ours." Liam sipped his tea. "What's next?" She closed her pen. "We just keep writing." A week after the gala, winter light slanted low through the West Tech headquarters. Liam, Eliza, and Daniel walked through the innovation lab, a humming world of prototypes, 3D printers, and bright-eyed interns. Ambrose had stayed home. Family duties called. Eliza paused at a workstation, where a young woman tested a solar charger. "That's Maya," Daniel explained. "She earned a full scholarship in Sylvia's name." Maya looked up and smiled. "It's life-changing." Eliza felt it, the connection between legacy and impact. They moved down the hall to a glass-walled presentation room. "This is the transition plan," Daniel said. "Board decisions are monthly from now. I'll be the liaison." "Already?" Eliza sounded surprised. "Your speech gave them clarity. I gave them documentation." Liam nodded. "It's time to make this official." That evening, they returned to the mansion for a private dinner in the solarium. Rain flickered against the skylight as Eliza plated dinner. Liam turned on soft jazz. "First time cooking since pancakes," she teased. He smiled. "Best decision I ever made." After dinner, Eliza found Ambrose by the fireplace with a leather-bound box. "Memory box," he said. "From your grandmother." Inside, letters, black and white photos, faded recipes, marriage certificate, diaries dating back decades. "She wanted you to see this," Liam said. Ambrose nodded. "Truth passed down for when we're ready." Eliza unfolded a paper. "Grandpa, she wasn't your sister? You said cousin's name was Sylvia." He placed his cane down. Sylvia was her middle name. She went by Eleanor. But the secret meant her story nearly died. Silence. "Then we need to tell it," Eliza whispered. Ambrose exhaled. "That's why your cousin's coming to West Tech, not just family dinners." The next morning, Liam and Daniel received invitations from press outlets. Exclusive. West family reveals hidden archives. Next chapter in legacy. They shared a glance. "Do you think they'll run it?" Daniel asked. "They'll have to," Liam replied. At noon, they unveiled the family legacy reception. Rows of framed photographs lined a glass corridor, women and men who shaped the company, including Eleanor West's image for the first time. Eliza stood with Liam and Daniel as media streamed in. She whispered, "Watch history rewrite itself." A reporter approached. "Eliza Daniels as curator of West Fam Archives? How did that happen?" She smiled softly. "Some legacies just needed someone brave enough to open their books." Later, Daniel stood beside his cousin's photograph. "She's stronger than they ever knew." "So are we," Eliza whispered. That evening, dinner was quiet. Just family 4 generations if you counted legacy over blood. Ambrose cleared his throat. "I have one more request." They listened. "Keep the archives public. Let the story live, warts and all." Daniel nodded. Transparency over tradition. Eliza reached for Liam's hand. He squeezed. The following week, board members gathered for their first internal vote. Eliza observed quietly from the balcony. Flashbacks of whispers, doubts, scandal flooded her mind. But as voting happened, hands went up almost unanimously. One abstained. Meredith. Eliza didn't mind. We're building, not punishing. That night, Eliza returned to the bookstore. The manager asked, "You're not closing early?" "Nope. Too much good news today." A copy of the Legacy exhibit invitation sat on the counter. Under it, a note. "Still reading your chapter. L.W." She smiled, folded the note. Back at the mansion, she found Liam drawing on a blueprint. Heard they approved the Ethics Oversight Committee. Finally. "It's big," he said. "Yes," she answered. "But not as big as us." He looked at her. "We did good." She nodded. "Hooga." They sat out on the terrace, cold air swirling around. Liam held her close. "Snow's coming, again." She rested her head. "Let it fall then. We'll create warmth." In the greenhouse, Ambrose strolled by the orchids. Daniel joined him quietly. "About your family? No secrecy means peace?" Ambrose smiled. "It means they're not afraid to know real history." Daniel absorbed that. Months passed. Rain turned to thaw. Their foundation launched scholarships wide. Stories published. Communities changed. One evening, Liam and Eliza held hands in the study. He whispered, "Promise we keep telling the truth." She leaned in. "Until legacy is more than wealth, it's justice." He kissed her promise softly. Snowmelt had turned the gardens pale green, the West Estate awakening to spring's promise. Eliza walked beside Daniel through rows of young plants, each one a scholarship recipient's sapling. He paused beside a cherry blossom tree they'd planted in honor of Eleanor, Sylvia, West. She'd have loved this. She would have, Eliza agreed. Life giving back. They stood in silence, seedlings whispering of possibility. Inside the mansion, Liam and Eliza prepared for the annual shareholders' meeting. Ambrose remained upstairs, retired but always watching. Liam reviewed slides with profit forecasts and legacy metrics. Eliza glanced at him. "You ready?" He paused. "If it was 3 years ago, I wouldn't have answered that." She squeezed his shoulder. "Now?" He smiled. "Completely." The shareholders' meeting began in the grand auditorium. Board members, investors, press in the back row. Eliza and Daniel entered together, no longer hidden chapters, but active authors of the company's future. Liam stepped to the podium. "In the last year, we rebuilt not just a brand, but our integrity." He gestured to Eliza. "Eliza Daniels, vice chair, will now reveal our community impact report." Eliza took the mic. Her voice was calm, firm, real. "We served 2,500 scholarship recipients. 40% women from underserved communities. 10 startups launched." Flashes darted. "But numbers aren't human stories. We have letters." She held up an envelope. This letter came from a student who almost gave up school. Hands opened. Pages read. Tears glistened. Liam watched with pride. Later, she swiped another envelope. This one from a mother who regained self-respect. She didn't need to say more. The room stood. Applause filled the space. Afterwards, Meredith approached. "Your speech was powerful." A pause. "Thank you." Meredith nodded. No smile. "I see more now. I want to learn." "Then come find me in the archives room," Eliza replied. Meredith didn't answer immediately, but she lingered just long enough to show change. That night, Eliza and Liam stood in the greenhouse. Lanterns glowed around them. "Years ago, this was my safe place," Liam whispered. "Now? It's ours." She leaned in. "You're not hiding anymore." He pulled her close. "Not when I have my truth here." Some weeks later, Ambrose fell ill again. This time, more serious. Eliza sat bedside. Liam held his grandfather's hand. Daniel stood near the window, reading aloud old letters from Eleanor. Ambrose stirred, eyes flicking open. He studied them, then looked at the 3 faces around him. It came full circle. Eliza choked softly. "Thank you," she whispered. "I told you," he replied, voice weak but certain. A hush fell on the mansion. Clocks ticked. Shadows lengthened. They gathered in the old family parlor, silent vigil. Finally, Ambrose exhaled. His hand relaxed. Eyes closed. Still. Silence pressed. The next morning, light filtered through stained glass into empty chairs. A note lay on the table, penned by Ambrose. "Love well. Lead with truth. Legacy is better with warmth. My work ends. Yours continues. Eliza found it first. Liam, Daniel, and Meredith gathered around her. No speeches needed. Just shared grief. Shared intention. That afternoon, Damien West's legacy reception opened. Guest filed past Ambrose's portrait beside Sylvia's. A portrait built, not of empire, but of empathy. People left flowers, notes, tears. Eliza whispered to Liam. He wanted us to keep writing. Liam nodded. Then we will. That evening, Eliza found herself in the solarium with only candlelight. She opened the family journal, Ambrose's entries. On the last page, to love beyond pretense. To honor those hidden in maps. To build something that stands. She closed the journal. Liam entered. Read the ending? She nodded. It doesn't end. It echoes. He sat beside her. Since when did words mean family? When legacy is written by honesty, not hierarchy. They held hands. Weeks passed. Spring arrived in earnest. Sylvia's scholarship show took place in Town Hall. Winner stories read aloud. Young women stepped forward. Gifts presented. Applause echoed. Elisa's eyes shone. Daniel took her arm. We did this. We are doing this, she corrected. That evening, the mansion echoed again with laughter and joy. Not gala-level grandeur. Just real smiles. Garden paths lined with string lights. Pancakes and tea revived in the kitchen. They ate with grandparents who came this time with Daniel as West's trustee, Meredith as ally. Ambrose sat in the parlor, no longer frail but present in memory and spirit. You saved us, he said, voice lifted from a memory. Liam held his grandfather's hand. We saved each other. Late-night coffee in the greenhouse. Eliza looked across swirling steam. What's next? Liam studied her face. We keep building. More stories, more legacies, more voices found in silence. Elisa smiled. Let's write them. They kissed. Candlelight flickered around them. Outside, spring rain began a new symphony. The mansion was quiet at first light. Birds returned in hesitant trills. Dew glistened on petals. A new dawn unfurled. Eliza opened the French doors to the garden. Heirloom tulips swayed in gentle breeze, symbols of resilience. She held Liam's abandoned notebook close. At breakfast, Daniel, still in casual clothes, joined them on the veranda. He sighed. Town hall stories are online now. Legacy profiles. Viral mentions. Eliza offered fresh orange juice. Feels good, right? He nodded slowly. Feels like I found myself. Liam sat down, pulled the notebook away from her grip. So, this is where you keep your plans. She smiled. And secrets. Share one? She wrote, write a scholarship recipient story, next her journey from aspiration to impact. Oh, Liam read. Looked up. Done. Later that morning, the board convened again. Eliza stepped in beside Liam and Daniel. Today, Liam said, we launched the West Interactive Legacy Archive open to public to explore our family's contributions. Ambitious, transparent, risky, everything documented. Every archive accessible. Soft gasps across the table. Daniel added, it's time we let memory bring accountability. Elisa continued. And stories of scholarship recipients, including the fund's future plans. Oh. Meredith leaned forward. Are we ready for scrutiny? Eliza looked at her. We should be. It's overdue. The vote raised hands again, unanimous. At noon, in the town library, a group gathered around a projection wall. Faces lit by images. Eleanor's photo. Scholarship winners' faces, solar cells in progress, letters from Maya thanking the West family. Eliza watched from the back as townspeople nodded. A young student raised her hand. How can I apply? Ambrose-like, Eliza knelt down at eye level. You already are. Share your story. That's the first application. Applicants lined up. Stories unfolded. Eliza felt something settle, purpose met promise. Back at the mansion, Liam found Eliza in the greenhouse at dusk. Did you see how Maya talked about her scholarship? Yeah. He paused. That wasn't the only letter people sent. She looked up. What else? Old employees, community leaders, people wanting archive meetings, story submissions. Eliza exhaled. We just ignited something. He wrapped an arm around her. We'll tend it together. That evening, Ambrose's portrait hung above the fireplace. Daniel adjusted a lantern beneath. He would have been proud, he said softly. Eliza touched the portrait frame. He is. A week later, Eliza and Liam drove into town behind them, the mansion receding. Ahead, a community event celebrating Sylvia's legacy. Tents lined with video booths. People recorded their own story. "Tell your legacy, Nixon," a young organizer shouted. Eliza turned toward Liam. "Guess you were right. Legacy is crowdsourced now." He squeezed her hand. "You made it happen." Later, the two sat on a bench by a fountain in front of the town's historical society building. Eliza fed crumbs to pigeons. "Want one more project?" Liam asked, voice soft. "Always. What if we fund oral history cameras across rural libraries? Capture stories legacy doesn't see." She looked at him. "We will." Following days brought feature stories. West Family Archive goes. Interactive users submit legacy profiles. Faces of once anonymous scholarship students tagged online. Images of board members at town hall applauding the archive launch. That night, Liam and Eliza returned to the kitchen again. This time they cooked together pasta and fresh herbs. Dancing slippers on tile. Fire in the oven. Laughter in their bellies. "From pancakes to pasta," he teased. "We're upgrading." They kissed amidst steam. Later in the evening, Ambrose's old armchair sat empty in the parlor. Eliza and Daniel placed a vase of tulips beside it. "He'd like these," Daniel murmured. Eliza nodded lightly, emotion pinned but steady. Ambrose's voice came in memory as Eliza read aloud, "May love endure truth. May you lead through empathy. May stories transcend silence." She closed the book. Liam entered, held her. "Promise we don't pretend ever again." She looked up, not for a second. Spring rain had returned by midnight. They stood in the solarium under warm lights. "What's next?" Eliza asked again. "More stories," Liam answered. "More truths." They leaned in, hands entwined, candlelight flickering on their faces. Snowmelt pattered outside softer, lighter, renewed. Winter light faded as Eliza locked the doors at West Tech headquarters. Silence wrapped around the corridors, an ending wrapped in preparation for what lies ahead. The next morning, the family toured the Digital Legacy Archive in full view of the public. Faces illuminated across interactive displays. Maya, the environmental scholar. Anna, the startup founder. Jamal, now a STEM engineer. Eliza, Liam, and Daniel watched as an older woman lingered at Eleanor West's portrait, whispering into her phone. "My grandmother. She was one of us." Elisa offered a quiet smile. Legacy in motion. In the boardroom, Meredith lingered behind closed doors after reviewing the archives. She watched the history scroll across screens. "I didn't expect transparency to feel powerful." Eliza stood beside her. "Truth doesn't weaken legacy, it strengthens it." Meredith nodded. "You gave me something real to believe in." A week later, a small spring gathering took place in the West Mansion's garden. No gala, just fresh food, light music, and applause that came without pretense. Maya stepped onto a makeshift stage. "I wouldn't be here if someone hadn't cared. Thank you, Miss Daniels." Community erupted in applause. Some wiped away tears. Liam glanced at Eliza. "You gave them a reason to see us." "We gave them a reason to trust," she corrected. That evening, they entered the studio on the mansion's top floor. Windows were wide open to the night garden. Legacy paperwork lay scattered across the table. Liam picked up an old photo Ambrose once gave Eliza, a young stoic Ambrose, with Sylvia smiling beside him. He looked toward her. "Promise we'll celebrate her and every silent story forever?" Eliza inhaled deeply. "We will. In every file, every voice, every scholarship." They embraced beneath soft lamplight. 6 months later, the West Interactive Legacy Archive went nationwide. Mobile storytelling stations appeared in libraries across the region. A young student lighting up the screen. "I told my community my story. They clapped. They changed me." Liam watched over her shoulder. "She's one of thousands." He turned to Eliza. "Thousands transformed now." Tears in her eyes. At a virtual board meeting with a national nonprofit, legacy shouldn't belong only to the wealthy. It belongs to anyone who lost their voice. Eliza spoke with conviction. "We stitch together stories erased by time. We give history back to communities." The leadership nodded support. Meanwhile, Daniel and Meredith co-founded a women's business council built on the example of Eliza's integrity and leadership. Meredith sent her an email. "Your voice shaped mine. Thank you." Eliza nodded softly, moved. Seasons shifted. The mansion's gardens bloomed into bright spring. They held a small ceremony beneath the cherry blossom arbor. Liam spoke into the night. To my wife, business partner, and truth keeper. Eliza stepped forward, and to Sylvia, who never had a microphone. Guests erupted in warm applause. That night at home, family gathered around the fireplace. Eliza stood between Liam and Daniel, blooms from the cherry tree beside them, portraits of Ambrose and Sylvia behind. Eliza lifted her teacup. To legacy unhidden. Liam clinked his cup. To stories that change lives. Daniel, quietly. To family guided by truth. Lights dimmed. Flame flickered. Eliza and Liam stood close, hands still intertwined. Not every detail needed speech. Just two hearts sharing a future built on honesty and meaning. No pretense, no compromise. Only truth. Only legacy.